Secretary of State Antony Blinken met with Israel's President Isaac Herzog today, pushing for a peaceful resolution to the conflict in Gaza and a release of Israeli hostages. It comes just days after Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar was killed by Israeli forces in Gaza.
I believe very much that the death of Sinwar does create an important opportunity to bring the hostages home, to bring the war to an end.
The hostages were kidnapped last October. A big three-day global financial gathering is kicking off in Russia, defying the current U.S.-led dollar world order.
President Putin is hosting the so-called BRICS summit. In attendance, big players like the leaders of China and India among the 36 nations represented. Observers see it as part of efforts to showcase support for the global south amid spiraling tensions with the West while helping to expand economic ties. Proposed projects include the creation of a new payment system that would offer an alternative to the SWIFT global banking network. Tom Rivers, ABC News at the Foreign Desk.
The IRS has announced its annual inflation adjustments. The single taxpayers and married individuals filing separately next year will get a standard deduction of $15,000. That's up $400 from this year. It's a $30,000 deduction for couples filing jointly. Restaurant chain TGI Fridays preparing to file for bankruptcy. I'm Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
Give the star in your life the brightest gift in the world. Name a star after them. This is Rocky Moselle with International Star Registry. For $59 and a call to 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com, you can name a star for birthdays, weddings, or even memorials. Over 45 years, we have named millions of stars for celebrities and individuals from around the world. The star you name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office. Visit starregistry.com or call 800-282-3333.
News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KBNU.
I'm Bill Walter, KBNU News. News is brought to you by Dr. Keith Nelson. Federal officials say E. coli food poisoning linked to McDonald's quarter-pounder hamburgers has sickened at least 49 people in 10 states. That includes one person who died and 10 who were hospitalized. It also includes a child hospitalized with severe kidney complications. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reported the outbreak today. It says infections were reported between September 27th and October 11th. The CDC says everyone interviewed in connection with the outbreak had reported eating at McDonald's before falling ill, and most mentioned eating quarter-pounder hamburgers. The specific ingredient tied to the outbreak has not been identified, but investigators are focused on onions and beef. Infections were reported, again, between September 27th and October 11th in Utah, also Colorado, Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Oregon, Wyoming, and Wisconsin. Colorado has the most cases, 27, followed by Nebraska with 9 cases. A 19-year-old Logan man has been arrested for allegedly raping a teenage girl. Luis Angel Perez was booked into the Cache County Jail on Friday. According to an arrest affidavit, Logan City police officers received a report from the Division of Child and Family Services in July, claiming Perez had raped the 13-year-old girl several times. The child's mother brought the girl to a clinic for evaluation. During an interview at the Cache County Children's Justice Center, the alleged victim disclosed how she met Perez at a party. The two continued communicating through social media. The girl went on to describe 2 separate times in which she and the suspect engaged in sexual activity. The alleged victim did not know Luis's last name, but stated that he worked at a local meat processing plant. She also described how he drove a black vehicle with tinted windows. Police were able to identify Perez as the suspect and interview him on October 18th. During questioning, Perez admitted to the accusations, but claimed he was originally told that the victim was 17 years old. According to court records, Perez was arraigned Monday in Logan's First District Court. He was charged with 2 counts of rape of a child, a first-degree felony. On KBNU's For the People program last week, Utah Festival Opera and Musical Theater founder Michael Ballum announced that things might be changing for next season's productions with a refocus on their educational outreach through an urgent program called Imagine, a campaign with an immediate goal of raising $3 million by December 31st.
So we are at a point of reorganizing the company and prioritizing what we feel is extremely important to us. And we need some help right now. We will continue, regardless of the help. It will alter our mission. Our mission right now is strongly towards educational programs in the county and beyond, all the way through the state.
Due to budgetary constraints, however, the UFOMT will now be obliged to significantly scale back its 2025 summer season and refocus on educational offerings.
We will continue to do our educational programs, but in terms of the extravaganzas like we saw last summer with Cats and as we saw before with Lohengrin and Aida, Elton John's Aida, those are very expensive propositions, and it's been tough, and we don't have the benefit of our colleagues south of here who are pretty well guaranteed that they'll get a third of their budget.
To prevent a seasonal closure and potential layoffs, they are launching the Imagine campaign to stabilize their finances and ensure that they can continue to deliver the quality productions that the community cherishes and has come to expect. The UFOMT Facebook post suggests 3 ways that festival supporters can contribute to the Imagine campaign by calling 800-262-0074 extension 3, visiting the Don Sant building at 59 South 100 West in Logan, and by going online to securepayment.link/Utah Festival. KBNU Weather is brought to you by Logan Extermination. If bugs are taking over the outside of your home and coming inside, you need help. Call Logan Extermination at 752-8450. Looks like partly cloudy skies, upper 30s, and then sunny, warm tomorrow, around 70. A 50% chance of rain late Wednesday night, mainly after midnight. Overnight low in the low 30s, and then a slight chance of rain before noon on Thursday, then becoming mostly sunny but cooler, high 54. Get more news at CashValleyDaily.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Keith Nelson, board-certified, fellowship-trained orthopedic surgeon, and I want to restore your active, pain-free life. I've been an innovator in the treatment of knee pain caused by arthritis and sports injuries for 27 years. I'm the only surgeon in northern Utah to offer Omnibotics, a robotic-assisted knee replacement for your arthritic knee, which has a 97% patient satisfaction rate. Don't live with your knee pain another day. Visit drkeithnelsonortho.com. That's drkeithnelsonortho.com.
Where news and talk comes first. News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
This is James Boyd, Chief Development Officer at CAPSA. At CAPSA, you matter. Domestic and sexual violence impact 1 in 3 women and 1 in 5 men in our community. Despite its prevalence, it remains a hidden crisis affecting our friends, families, and neighbors. When you donate to CAPSA, you're supporting people in your life and across our community. Every donation to CAPSA is a profound statement to survivors that you matter. Join us and show survivors that they matter. Learn more about CAPSA and how you matter at CAPSA.org.
Did you know a block dryer vent is a real fire hazard? According to the Consumer Product Safety Commission, there are tens of thousands of dryer exhaust duct fires annually, leading to many injuries and death. You should have your dryer hose and the area around it cleaned once a year and inspect the vent and hose for any blockages at least every 6 months. Don't wait for disaster to strike because your dryer vent is blocked. Give John Henson a call at the Duct Hunter. Call 770-4813 today.
Breathe better, save money, protect your home.
Hi, this is Tanya from Elevate Credit Union. We are thrilled to be the gold winner for credit unions and mortgages in the 2024 Best of Northern Utah. Our success is all thanks to you.
The Aggies continue conference play Saturday as they travel to Wyoming to face the Cowboys.
Are we a confident team? We're probably the most 1-6 most 1-6 confident team in the country, but we just need to get better at our small details. And until we do, it's just too many one-on-one plays that we're losing.
Pre-game begins at 3, kickoff is at 5, and post-game and Aggie call immediately follows the game. It's the Aggies and the Cowboys, Saturday afternoon on News Talk KVNU. KVNU's For the People with Jason Williams and Bill Walter.
And it is Utah known as the fraud capital of the world. Not because we have more people committing fraud, but because we have so many people falling for it.
Going beneath the headlines and connecting you to the newsmakers.
The radio is a great way to get the word out to a lot of people in an emergency. So we thank you for your help and being a partner with us.
For the People on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM, 102.1 FM, online at 610kvnu.com and on the KVNU mobile app.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People. It is Tuesday, October 22nd. I'm Jason Williams. Joining us on the show today as our candidate spotlight continues with ballots out there and already being returned. In fact, we got our first early return ballot report from the Lieutenant Governor today. We'll get to that later on in the hour. We have a spotlight on State Senator Chris Wilson. Senator Wilson is running for re-election. He does have an opponent in this race. We spoke with Nancy Huntley last week, and you can hear that interview on our podcast. But in the continued effort to get to every candidate, again, we did it in the primaries. We can do it in the general. There are fewer candidates in the general. Trying to get to them all, Senator Chris Wilson will be joining us at the start of hour 2 of today's show. And we have a lot to talk to him about. Incumbents get kind of a unfair shake in interviews as candidates because you also have, these pressing issues that the legislature will be taking up. Yesterday, Speaker of the House Mike Schultz calling for a pause on all major water bills in 2025. We'll have a chance to talk to Senator Wilson about that, what he's working on for the upcoming legislative session, and also what he's hearing from voters as he campaigns for re-election. So that's coming up again at the start of hour 2 of today's show. To start things off here today, going outside of Cache Valley, outside of Utah, even to Florida, a somewhat fascinating and at the same time, I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but you're reading about, I know, most people aren't prepping for a radio show throughout their day when they get a chance to look at the news or read some articles here and there. But we all, gravitate towards things that we find interesting. In fact, there's an entire industry and art form built up around headline writing to grab your interest in that way. And this was a situation where the headline didn't really grab my eye. The photo did, because I'm a huge Star Wars nerd. And this article from the BBC about home construction changes in Florida looked like a scene from Star Wars A New Hope, the first ever Star Wars movie in theaters, which is actually episode 4, but which it still surprised me no one questioned that when the scrolling words start. That is, this started with episode 4. No one cared. No one noticed. Anyway, we'll save the rest of that conversation for the movie show this Friday. It looked, if you've seen the original Star Wars movie, Luke Skywalker grows up in a desert home. A desert known for sandstorms and hurricane force winds. If you've read any of the Star Wars backstory that George Lucas wrote that didn't make it into the movie. And they live in these sandstone igloos, basically, these round homes. It's never explained in the movie. And I don't know if this was some sort of accidental accuracy in engineering, considering the hurricane force winds that are described in the backstory of the Tatooine planet Luke Skywalker grows up on, and the sandstorms. I don't know. Maybe it was just accidental. They designed them the way they did in the movie because they looked cool and accidentally got something right. But this photo from Florida looks exactly like that, other than the domed igloo-style homes have a traditional front door, that looks like something you'd see on a regular house. They also have off to the side a more traditional rectangular deck and railing that attaches to the home. But the home itself, where people live, where all their stuff is a dome. In fact, in this case, the photo is a larger home. It's 3 domes. Now, photos from inside, the walls are not curved or ceilings are not curved. They've built the inside of the house to look just like any house would look inside. But the outside is just a curved, smooth dome. And this was part of one construction company's experiment that is catching on. Keep in mind that, Milton, for example, Hurricane Milton that just made its way through the panhandle of Florida, the forecast was for 180 mile per hour winds. That didn't happen with this hurricane, but where one of these experimental homes was first used, they did experience a hurricane that brought 160 mile per hour winds up the Mexico beach and up to Mexico Beach, Florida. And these homes survived, these domed homes. So that was a kind of a trial run. And this company now is building them. And they've become some of the most vocal advocates, obviously for business reasons, but also, it's getting the attention of state lawmakers and more. This American construction company, Deltec, has been at the forefront of experimenting with different types of home construction, not only different types of materials, but also different designs like these domes in response to climate change and the anticipation that we're going to see, as climate scientists have predicted, more erratic weather, more frequent hurricanes, more powerful hurricanes in the area. Same thing is happening in Tornado Alley in the U.S., and Tornado Alley is also kind of expanding and moving as the jet streams change with different sea temperatures influencing the pressure out over the ocean. No one knows for sure exactly what and where the worst weather will happen or when. We do our best to forecast it, but the models show that we are experiencing an uptick in the severity and the frequency of extreme weather events. And so this construction company said, and again, they have a bottom line interest in this. They build and sell homes. So, but that doesn't, I think, undermine the argument they're making to state lawmakers in Florida for a few years now that the state needs to incentivize. The state incentivizes all kinds of hurricane and flood protective home design. For years, along some of the coasts in Florida, you could get a big tax break for building your home on stilts, which is more expensive to do, but you get a big tax break to do it, and they're hoping that offsets. And the reason for that is that cleanup efforts, even if it's just repairing a damaged sewer or water line, it's easier when the homes haven't been destroyed, because when the hurricane comes through and flattens all the homes, all of that rubble and rubbish has to be cleaned up first before they can start on digging down to repair flood-damaged sewer lines or water lines, or even to put power lines back up. So the fewer number of homes that are turned into piles of 2x4s and nails, the better. Not just for the homeowners, obviously it would be better for them, but also for the city and the emergency cleanup efforts. So that's been going on in Florida for a long time. Deltec and its owners are making the case to state lawmakers in Florida that they need to incentivize this type of creative construction as well. This circular dome shape, it's a really simple concept. Basically, a dome is more aerodynamic. There are no flat edges to catch wind resistance, so they're aerodynamic. And the round design leads to much less pressure on the building itself in hurricane force winds from outside the home. And it means the home desorbs and distributes the energy equally throughout the dome rather than on one flat side of a wall, which is usually what causes a home to collapse. Big flat side of the wall catching all the force of the wind, that wall gives way, and suddenly the entire support of the structure is gone, and then the wind does the rest of the work for the collapsing walls. But these wheel spoke designs that are under what appears to be, I'm not sure, it's not described in the article. It almost looks like it's just a stucco skin or something similar skin over these wheel spoke arches that connect together to make a dome. So engineers got involved in this, and they explained that the dome has a couple of advantages. Regular house with edges like a box and a flat roof, they create obstacle to the wind flow, as we've talked about here. So engineering them as a dome, they're less likely to get pushed down. But it also allows them to build with different types of lumber. Because a dome has different structural and weight support needs, they can use more environmentally friendly sources. One specific example is yellow pine, so certain types of pine are actually banned in some states as foundational construction material because pine can be, it's stronger than other lumbers in a lot of way, such as Douglas fir, which is also, a less popular or a not preferred choice in some areas where they experience extreme weather. But pine can also be, it's very cheap, but it can also be soft and it can be prone to, as it ages, well, I won't get into it, but there are a lot of reasons that it's not a preferred wood, but in a dome construction, it's fine because of, again, the different weight support needs of a dome as opposed to flat walls, flat roofs, and rooms sitting on top of rooms, which is how most multi-story homes are basically designed. So they build these in a controlled environment, and they're able to get standard levels of quality. And so they said more testing needs to be done before they're out there advocating everyone in Florida rebuild a dome as opposed to a traditional home. Not that they don't know already that the dome is a better design. They know that. But how to build it, what's the best way to build it, is still a question. And Deltec, the company who makes these domed homes, they're prefab, basically. The way Delco makes these is they have these pre-designed models. They call them hurricane ready. They're designed to withstand speeds up to 200 miles per hour, and tests have proven that they can. They're 25% cheaper than any other custom build they found on the market in Florida, at minimum. And they provide Deltec, what they actually make is the shell. And they do some site prep, or they help you with some site prep if you buy one of their homes. And, and then there's roof shingles, insulation, drywall, and all of that stuff are, up to the owner. You can use traditional things inside the home under the shell. And the shells, on average, cost about a third of a price of a total home construction cost in Florida. They range from, about $45,000 for a 515 square foot home, $132,000 for a 2,500 square foot home. And Deltec isn't the only company doing this. There's also, the original was actually built in Idaho, by the way. It was in 1976. And you may have passed this, actually. You can see it from the highway as you go through this part of Idaho. But in 1976, there was a potato storage unit in Idaho that was basically just a big dome. And, of course, domes have been used from the Arctic to the tropics by, indigenous tribes of the areas. So it's not groundbreaking engineering here. It's actually kind of reversion to something that ancient civilizations used to fend off extreme weather. And that extreme weather can be anything from heat to cold to high winds, and get this, floods. Because of the home construction, the way it's made, it is also more likely to withstand a flood of up to 6 feet of water without any water getting inside the home. It's really cool, but again, what grabbed my eye about this is it looks like the home Luke Skywalker grew up in Star Wars, just bigger. And in the case of the one photo, they show 3 domes connected together. And it is a really simple engineering concept. But these companies are now saying, in areas like Florida where we're rebuilding at taxpayer expense a lot of times, and where we're seeing insurance companies refuse to insure any longer in areas of Florida, or at least jack the rates up to where people can't afford insurance on their home. These construction companies are appealing to the legislature, saying we might want to start thinking differently about how we build in hurricane-prone areas like the Gulf Coast and the Florida's Panhandle. Be interesting to see. I've posted a link to it on our Facebook page if you'd like to see them for yourself, and we'll be back with more right after this.
News Talk 610 AM, 102.1 FM, KVNU.
Today's hearing aid technology can improve not only your life, but the lives of the people who care about you. Once again, you'll be able to hear the reason for their laughter and understand conversations. Dr. Paul Danes will customize a hearing improvement program to meet your unique requirements, whatever they are. Call Dr. Danes for an appointment at 753-HERE and let him show you how.
Bring back what you've been missing. Bring back Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology.
Wolf, Sub-Zero, Thermador, and more. Your favorite luxury brands are right here in Cache Valley. This is Jay with Daryl's Appliance. We sell, service, install, and offer warranties on all our products. You will get the best pricing at Daryl's, including exclusive builder pricing for new builds and remodels. Don't forget instant rebates that save you thousands. Call, text, or drive out for a free consultation with one of our appliance experts. Top-of-the-line appliances deserve top-of-the-line service only at Daryl's Appliance West on Airport Road.
Current reps are taking us down dangerous, destructive paths. We must change our priorities and act now. Prioritize our children, country, and future. Prioritize your peace and happiness. Vote for character over critic. Vote for principles over politics. Vote for solutions over special interest. I, Bill Campbell, will prioritize you. My name is Bill Campbell, and I am running for Utah's 1st Congressional District, and I approve this message.
Do you know a champion in our community? Nominate them for the KVNU Above and Beyond Salute. Every Friday morning at 8:30, we'll spotlight a firefighter, law enforcement officer, healthcare worker, or other deserving individual and give them a $40 gift card to Firehouse Subs. Submit your nominations for the Above and Beyond Salute by visiting kvnutalk.com. Help us recognize the champions in our communities. The Above and Beyond Salute, sponsored by Firehouse Subs on News Talk KVNU, the voice of Northern Utah.
ABC News, I'm Mike.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Daylight savings time comes to an end November 3rd and then starts back up again March 9th. I always keep an eye on this. Big debate over this, how it affects sleep. People are impacted differently. It's never bothered me, but I have a friend who takes about a week to adjust to that, just that 1 hour difference in schedule. And if I hadn't actually, when I met this friend, we worked together, if I hadn't actually witnessed that firsthand, how loopy and out of it this person was, at work, I wouldn't believe it. I would scoff and say, it's a 1 hour change in your clocks. What's the big deal? So I realize people, I'm not bothered by it. I actually kind of enjoy it. But it does have a negative effect on many people. And sleep medicine physicians will say daylight savings time, for example, eventually feels better than the winter months once we're acclimated to it. But when we're not on daylight savings time, there's more negative effects to that, basically. So another way to put that, if we're going to keep one and never switch again, keep daylight savings time. Bounce forward in the spring forward, and then never fall back. The reason this always gets stymied at the legislative level here in Utah is lawmakers can't agree on that. There are different competing lobby interests for falling back and never springing forward again. Springing forward, never falling back again, whichever a person's preference is. But the medical science suggests that if you're doing this for health reasons, you want to spring forward one last time and never fall back again. It's not going to happen. I track this every year because I thought for the longest time Utah lawmakers, because this had been so heavily debated for years and it seemed to be reaching kind of a crescendo. And I thought they'll do it. They'll pick one and they'll put us on, a standard time and leave us there. And then it just fizzled. I don't know why, but the interest in making any change fizzled. Part of the reason I would guess is there's still a significant agricultural imprint and a footprint and influence here in Utah. And they have a preference that might be different than, say, parents with young school children that are concerned about how much light there is when their kids are going to school. And those two butt heads. And so the legislature opened the can of worms. They heard a lot of feedback, and then they just dropped it. According to Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, the time change that comes with the beginning and end of daylight savings time can increase all kinds of health risks, adverse health consequences that go beyond just your sleep being messed up a little bit. But there are some tips they offer. If you are affected very negatively by the time change, whether it's falling back, as we will on November 3rd this year, or whether it's springing forward, as we will again March 9th of 2025, a lot of natural daylight. That is the recommended solution by the experts at Johns Hopkins for weathering the change. Just get as much natural daylight as you possibly can, even if that's just sitting near a window or going outside. There are a lot of mental health benefits to this in general, but it said this actually helps your body adjust to any change in sleep schedule. This is also recommended, by the way, for those who work alternating shifts at their job, for example. Get as much natural daylight as you can. Another tip they offer is in the week before the time change, go to sleep 5 to 10 minutes later each day. So in the week leading up to, so we'll fall back, and they recommend that you start cutting your sleep short 5-10 minutes later each day, and gradually adjust to that until the time change happens. And they also recommend, no matter how tired you are after the time change, avoid naps you wouldn't normally take. If you do nap, keep it to 15 minutes at most. But don't take, if you nap in the afternoon every day, keep doing that. But if you don't normally nap after work or after school or whatever it might be, don't add that to your schedule after the time change. That actually might temporarily make you feel better, but it actually prolongs your body's adjustment to the new clock. So some tips there from Johns Hopkins on the upcoming fall back, end of daylight savings time. We'll be back with more of For the People on the other side of these headlines with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News is brought to you by Roof Rescue. A community workshop for local residents interested in bird watching has been scheduled for Wednesday in the Logan Library. That meeting will be held at 6 p.m. in the community room of the library, hosted by Eric Bingham of the Bridgerland Audubon Society. One of the topics discussed during the workshop will be how to participate in the upcoming Christmas bird count, a census of birds in the Western Hemisphere performed annually by volunteer bird watchers. The census is a citizen science project that involves counting birds in a 15-mile-wide circle over the course of a 24-hour period. The count is one of the world's oldest and longest-running wildlife censuses and is a valuable source of data for bird scientists and conservation efforts. The Bridgerland Audubon Society is an all-volunteer 501c3 nonprofit charitable conservation organization and an official chapter of the National Audubon Society. An early morning explosion at an apartment in Utah injured 2 people and displaced 90 families in the building because the sprinkler system is damaged. Police in Lehi said the explosion earlier today was suspicious. It happened around 4 a.m. and caused damage inside the apartment, including the windows. The apartments below where the explosion occurred have water damage. It's not known how long the affected families will be out of their homes. They were temporarily relocated to other units at the apartment complex. The cause of the blast is under investigation. The Utah Jazz begin the season at home against the Memphis Grizzlies. The teams will play Wednesday for the first time this season. Tip-off 7 o'clock tomorrow night. You can hear Jazz games on the Fan, 106.9 FM and 1390 AM. KBNU weather brought to you by Cardall's Insulation. If your home was built before 1980, you should consider updating your insulation. If you'd like a warmer, quieter home this winter, call 755-5012. And looking at tonight, partly cloudy skies is the forecast. Overnight low in the upper 30s, and then mostly sunny. Nice tomorrow, up around 70. 50% chance of rain by late Wednesday night, and then a slight chance of rain before noon on Thursday. It is going to be quite a bit cooler on Thursday. High temperature in the mid-50s, around 54 degrees. You can always get more news at CashValleyDaily.com.
ABC News, I'm Mike Dubusky. Former President Obama spoke in Madison, Wisconsin today, campaigning for Vice President Kamala Harris.
It is not just policies that are on the ballot. It is who we are and what we stand for.
Former President Trump, meanwhile, is set to hold a rally in Greensboro, North Carolina tonight. ABC News has learned that Aileen Cannon, the federal judge who threw out Mr. Trump's classified documents case this summer, is being considered for Attorney General under a possible Trump presidency. Cannon is one of nearly a dozen potential candidates, according to the Trump campaign document reviewed by ABC. McDonald's is removing slivered onions and beef patties from Quarter Pounders in 10 states after they were linked to an E. coli outbreak. One person has died in connection with that outbreak. And 3 men, including the former head of Abercrombie & Fitch, were arrested today in connection with a federal sex trafficking investigation. This is ABC News.
Roof Rescue is your local roof specialist, dedicated to keeping your home safe and dry no matter the weather. Their team of experienced roofers is here to serve you, providing top quality service at affordable prices. From minor repairs to complete roof replacements, they've got you covered. Remember, your roof is your first line of defense in protecting your family from the elements. So don't wait until the next storm to discover your roof problems. Call Roof Rescue today at 435-999-4268. They're your trusted local roofing experts, here to keep your home safe and dry. Roof Rescue, celebrating 10 years of providing watertight peace of mind.
From ABC News, Wall Street now. Stocks turned around at midday on Wall Street as investors began to digest the recent bond market sell-off and another round of earnings reports, but markets eventually closed the day lower. The Dow lost 7 points, the S&P 3, the Nasdaq added 33. General Motors stock jumped 10% after the automaker reported stronger profit and revenue than expected. Philip Morris gained 9% because it also topped forecasts for profit and revenue. Reuters is reporting bankrupt Tupperware has agreed to sell its business to a group of lenders for over $23 million in cash and $63 million in debt relief. In return, it's canceling plans for an open market auction. The 10-year Treasury note climbed more than 4% for the first time in 3 months before pulling back. And paging George Jetson, flying air taxis closer to fruition. Federal regulators give a strong push to electric-powered air taxis as they issue a final rule for operating the aircraft and training pilots. Brian Clark, ABC News.
The Cache Valley Media Group's Holiday Gift Show is now accepting applications for the 2024 show November 8th and 9th at the Riverwoods Conference Center. Show your creative, unique, festive, and one-of-a-kind gift ideas to thousands of holiday shoppers. This wonderful gift show is truly a step above. Search Logan Holiday Gift Show for details or call 752-1390 for more information. The Logan Holiday Gift Show is presented by Coppins Hallmark. Space is limited. Reserve your booth today. 752-1390.
Intermountain Budge ENT Clinic has an experienced and caring team of physicians and staff to assist you with all of your ear, nose, and throat concerns, including head and neck surgery. Doctors Kaiser and Wilson and their staff at Intermountain Budge ENT Clinic will work together to provide excellent care and support throughout the entire surgery process, from your pre-op visit to your full recovery. And they accept all insurance. For more information about Doctors Kaiser or Wilson, search Budge Clinic ENT or call 435-716-1420. Local care with Intermountain expertise.
All your pretty bags are packed. Forever sure did go by fast. I hope you find the skies are blue, the grass is green, and the road is smooth. You go your way, c'est la vie, hoping that you don't hate me. Who
Welcome
knows?
back to KVN News for the People. Got to chat with Bill Walter a little bit there after the news break. Don't see him as much. Miss the guy. He's having fun on mornings, though. Bill Walter, again, filling Al Lewis's spot on the morning show for the time being. He is keeping Craig Hislop in line, but you can still hear Bill every morning, cracking jokes, and like I say, keeping Craig on his toes and behaving. This is a pretty wild election cycle, to say the least. A question from a listener coming during the news break after I talked a bit about daylight savings time. Listener wanted to know, I'd mentioned before the news there that lawmakers seem to have kind of thrown in the towel on making any change on this, and that's probably for the best. There are a lot of competing interests in Utah that all have a worthy argument for this or that change, falling back and never springing forward again, springing forward, never falling back again, not changing a thing. All three have, you have the agricultural community, you have parents with young children who go to school early, who would prefer it be daylight when that happens or close to. You have, a vibrant economy that includes tourism as a huge part of the state economy. And so there are considerations when it comes to, believe it or not, tourist schedules, what's it going to be like when someone travels here from overseas, for example, and they want to go see all the sites at certain times of year that are considered the off season to locals, but are the big tourist season for travelers, especially overseas travelers. These are, they might sound trivial to you personally, but these are valid concerns. And so lawmakers have kind of scrapped the idea for the time being, at least. It was coming up every year there. And then they just kind of have said, nah, we're not going to deal with that right now. This question from a listener is a great question, especially as we're heading into these candidate spotlights and the end, finally, of the election. I say that mainly pointing at the presidential race. I've had fun, and I hope you've had fun, hearing from candidates on the local level, and the local decisions are far more important, really, when it comes to your day-to-day life. But that presidential race couldn't end soon enough for me. That said, as we're doing these candidate spotlights, as we will with Chris Wilson here at the start of hour 2, and as we did with his opponent Nancy Huntley last Thursday, if you'd like to hear her interview in conjunction with the senators today. Great question from a listener. A listener said, how can I talk to my lawmaker about this type of thing? This listener apparently has a very strong opinion about daylight savings time. Though they don't elaborate in their message here which side they fall down on. But I can answer this easily, and it's a great question. Visit le.utah.gov. You can also, sometimes you can simply just do a quick Google search for your state lawmaker's name and add the word, if it's a House representative, add the word representative so-and-so. If it's a state senator, add state senator so-and-so, and it'll usually take you there. But the easiest and foolproof way to make sure you get to the right place to find contact information is le.utah.gov. Legislature is what LE stands for. le.utah.gov, and there's a big search bar there. Simply type the state lawmaker's name you're looking for, and it'll take you to their landing page. There'll be a nice photo of them there, tell you what committees they sit on. You can actually look at their conflict of interest forms if they've had to fill out any of those, because all of our lawmakers have day jobs, of course. So you can see a list of things that they might have a conflict of interest if a vote comes up on this topic or that topic. A lot of real estate conflicts of interest because the majority of our legislature works in that world right now, but at least the House. But it's a useful website. It's also great during the legislative session, because during the legislative session, this is where you can set up bill trackers or lawmaker trackers even. You can set up these reminders anytime a lawmaker makes a legislative move, or anytime a bill is moved from a committee to a floor vote, or gets a floor vote, or gets shot down on the floor. You can actually get a reminder on that that will let you know a change has been made to the legislation if you're tracking it. You can search legislation during the 45-day session that kicks off in January by keywords. If there's a certain topic that's really important to you, like, say, water or zoning. You can set up a reminder that will let you know anytime there is a bill receiving any kind of legislative action, whether that be just being brought up for a committee hearing or brought to the floor for a vote in either chamber, or signed by the governor if it's been passed by the House and Senate. You can set up reminders based on keywords for any legislation dealing with zoning or water or ducks. You're probably not going to get a lot of reminders for ducks. Well, no, one year there was a hefty debate over ducks. Well, birds, rather. That was a long time ago. This is a great question, though. To contact your lawmaker, I have a couple of tips on this. If you are concerned about something like daylight savings time and want to weigh in, you don't have to wait for your lawmaker to bring an issue up. In fact, lawmakers have told me, not just here in Cache Valley, but from all around the state when I've had a chance to talk to them, both here on the show and in person, they've told me they love unsolicited feedback or unsolicited interactions, I guess we should say. As long as it's respectful, I mean, you get nowhere. This is my tip for talking to your lawmaker, and this might offend some people because I know here in the West we have this kind of healthy attitude, and it is healthy, that, hey, you work for me. You, Mr. or Mrs. Politician, elected official, you work for me. Without my vote, without my neighbor's votes, you don't have the job. So I can talk to you any way I want. That's, it's healthy to be skeptical of government and to remember that they do work for you. But also, you have to remember they're human beings doing a job, and they're going to react the same way you would. If you get an email that starts out, "Hey, doofy," do you know what I'm going to do? I'm probably going to read that email out of curiosity, but then I'm just going to delete it. That person isn't getting a reply. That person is not getting another second's of time in my day if they start their email out, "Hey, doofy." And I've actually seen some of the emails sent to lawmakers, and it's laughable, but at the same time, it's a waste of your time. If you're going to bother to contact your state lawmaker, make it worth your time. Make it productive. So be respectful. Remember, you're talking to another human being that is as imperfect as you are. And just because they're lawmakers doesn't mean they don't make mistakes or that they don't say things without knowing what they're talking about. We all do that, right? Most people are better at admitting to it than some of our state lawmakers seem to be lately. But with that whole Amendment D fiasco in mind, but be respectful. And here's what I would recommend. So this is what I've learned from lawmakers. To answer this listener's question, how do you contact your lawmaker? A lot of them list their cell phone numbers on their website. They have day jobs. During the 45-day session, they are so busy. You're going to get more traction with an email. And when it comes to email, I'll tell you this too. Those form email, you've seen these. Hey, sign my petition. Well, send this message to all of your state lawmakers. Send this message to all of your federal lawmakers. No one is opening those anymore. In fact, spam filters have gotten so good that there's a chance your state lawmaker never even sees that email. But what they will see, if a few hundred people are sending them an email with the exact same subject and subject line and opening paragraph, they realize that this is just 100 people that have signed an online petition that has automated the emails out to lawmakers, and they just start deleting those. They don't open them. So make it personal. And by personal, I don't mean insulting. I mean personal as in, hey, I'm a human being talking to another human being. Let them know where you're from, why you're emailing, and then, respectfully express your opinion. Even if that's an opinion of, hey, I think you made a huge mistake here and should rethink it. Or, hey, I don't think you should be in the business of even talking about this issue. You can say, you don't have to blow smoke or buddy up. You can be critical. You can be forceful in your opinion as long as you're respectful. And this does actually work. Several lawmakers have told me that their minds have been changed by a single email or a group of emails expressing a similar thought on a bill. But even more importantly, more than several lawmakers have told me they have changed legislation that they were running for the better because of an email from a listener. The best example I can come up with off the top of my head here on why, if you're looking to contact your lawmakers on any issue, whether it's daylight savings time we were just talking about, whether it's water, whether it's ducks, this, I don't remember the name of the bill. There was a bill that had to do with, the state's role in wildfire mitigation and forestry management, which is a joint effort between the state and the federal government in several areas here in Utah. And that there was a bill, had to do with funding, I think. There was a retired forestry worker, someone that had spent many, many years out heading up efforts to repair trails every spring. And this gentleman emailed a state lawmaker here in Cache Valley at the time, no longer a lawmaker here, and just said, hey, I noticed in your bill you've got X amount of money for this, and you could actually subtract that all from the final price tag if you incorporated these 3 nonprofits that already operate here and invite them to be a part of the planning effort on that specific cleanup project. And lawmaker told me that he read that email, contacted his constituent who had sent the email. They had an hour-long conversation, and he went back that night and had legislative research, the attorneys who write the bills in legalese for them, subtract that line. They completely changed a bill and resulted in about a $35,000 savings for taxpayers, because one person was reading a bill and had a thought. And that thought ended up being a good idea. The lawmaker had no idea it was even an option because they don't know everything. They can't know everything. So email your lawmakers, absolutely. And the best way to do so, again, is find them at le.utah.gov. Many of them, again, list their cell phone numbers, but if you utilize the cell phone number, be respectful. If you're texting, let them know who you are and where you're texting from. But honestly, my interactions with lawmakers, you're going to get the most traction with a thoughtful, respectful email, even if you're emailing to criticize them for a vote or a certain bill they're running. Thoughtful and respectful is going to get more attention, and personalize it. Let them know, who you are as well, so that they know they're talking to a human being, and treat them like a human being. So those are my tips. Great question, Ellen. Appreciate you sending that one in. We'll be back with more of For the People right after this.
Hi, my name is Linda Christiansen, the County Clerk for Sanpete County. You might be wondering, is Utah's ballot process safe? The answer is yes. From signature verification to tabulation and storage, each ballot received is always handled by a minimum of 2 certified election officials for ballot processing. If you want to learn more about Utah election security, visit vote.utah.gov.
Fall is the perfect time to landscape, and Canyon Landscaping is ready to build or transform your outdoor space. They bring your vision to life with expert care, including installing beautiful planting beds and crafting custom paver patios. They handle your entire project from start to finish, and they have the team to get the design just right. But hurry, spots are filling up fast. Visit canyonlandscaping.com or call 752-3838 today. Let's make your outdoor space a true extension of your home. Call Canyon Landscaping. Look for the leaf.
Hey Cache County, it's Braden from the County Clerk's Office Elections Division with a not-so-spooky reminder. Halloween is creeping up, and so is the deadline to get your 2024 general election ballot in. Don't let it haunt you. Mail your ballot or drop it in one of our 21 convenient ballot drop boxes by Halloween, and you'll be sure it gets counted. Why wait? Beat the rush, avoid the last-minute scare, and get your vote in early. For Dropbox locations, head to cachecounty.gov/elections. Happy voting, Cache Valley. Let's make it count before the ghosts come out.
The Ramsey Show.
My husband purchased a $300,000 McLaren, knowing that he was going to lose his job, and we're living on my income in Southern California. Which is what? Less than $100,000.
The car is the symptom of him doing extreme behaviors.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's terrifying me listening to it.
There's something
going on.
Yeah, it's really frightening.
Dave Ramsey, evenings on KVNU 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. State Senator Chris Wilson, our guest in Hour 2. Wrapping up Hour 1 here with a little bit of trivia because I wanted to know too. This was a conversation I was having with a friend recently, and we were talking about Costco, and I don't remember what it was, but a friend said, where did that name even come from? Costco. Isn't that kind of a negative in a way? Like it implies, hey, come here, things cost. And I never thought about that, so I looked it up. For those curious, part of the chain's business model, actually. And it was a philosophy, and apparently it was so ingrained into the thinking and the brand of this once very small company that Costco is. So it's actually an amalgamation of the phrase cost company, which is basically the store's original mission was to see if they could sell products at cost. And of course they found out, that wasn't realistic, but can we get the prices as close to at cost as possible? And that's when they discovered the bulk model, that if you buy and sell in bulk, yes, you can get the prices down a lot closer to cost than it's usually the case. But for those curious, that's where the name comes from. Costco is an amalgamation of cost company. But that was never intended to be the name. That's the interesting part. That's just how everyone it was a group of people that were curious if they could actually build a company like this. And they referred to it when talking with each other as the cost company. Because, again, the goal of getting the prices down to at cost or close to. So they called it the cost company as they were working on it. And then that got shortened in an email at a certain point, or this would have been a printed letter at the time, and it got shortened to Costco, and then it just stuck. So there you go, some Costco trivia for you. I didn't know that until today myself. So State Senator Chris Wilson, our guest, right after this here.